What is the smell coming from my roommate's room? It all started yesterday when I was sitting in my room headphones on watching YouTube. I caught a whiff of something kind of stanky, and when I went into the hall to investigate, it had changed from mild stank to downright vile. I deduced that the smell was coming from one of my 3 roommates' bedroom. I texted one of my other roommates, and after describing the smell he came home to make sure I wasn't exaggerating about how bad it was. When he discovered how god-awful it actually was, we decided to spray some air freshener and see if that made it go away. It did not. About 10 minutes later, the roommate to whom the stench belonged exited his room, and I shit you not, the smell tripled in strength when he opened his door. My other roommates and I decided that we would confront him the next day if the smell was still there. Next morning, sure enough, the smell is still awful, so we knock on his door to talk to him, and he peeks his head out and asks what's up. We tell him we're smelling something offensive coming from his room area and ask what's going on. He responds with something along the lines of, "I don't smell anything and I showered a couple days ago," and goes back in his room. We decide that we can't keep living with this heinous smell, and we go to the dorm raw to get him to do something. He walks in and immediately smells the awful aroma permeating our room. He says that this is definitely a problem and somebody higher up will be over in the morning to look in his room. TLDR. Roommate has vile smell coming from room and Raw smelled it and says someone will be over tomorrow to look in his room and see what's causing the smell. So the question is, what the holy heck is making this repulsive smell? Edit. Alright, I'm going to try to sleep because I got shit to do tomorrow. I'll update in the morning. Morning update. The smell is about the same strength, but I think he took a shower while I was asleep. I don't know what time dorm staff will be here, but I will update when they go into his room. In the meantime, I'll do my best to respond to as many people as possible. Afternoon update. Alright y'all, we went to the Raw to expedite the process of figuring this shit out, and she basically played conflict mediator. She had us write up a roommate agreement about maintaining cleanliness in our rooms. So now we're all cleaning our individual rooms and he has his door shut cleaning his. At the end of the conversation, the Raw asked him if he would be okay with her entering his room, and he said that he was capable of finding the smell himself. So many of you have said that it's a body that I can't help but start to believe it. 5:35 p.m. PST. I've enlisted the help of my roommate to help answer all the questions about the specifics of the smell, as there have been a lot of questions. If you want a more thorough description of the smell or chain of events relating to the smell, you can PM Skunkworks 1:59 p.m. PST. This is gonna piss a lot of you guys off. It definitely pissed me off. We talked to multiple Raws who gave us a really long and bullshit-filled talk about how they technically can't enter his room without permission from a certain person who is kind of the head of dorm operations. So Skunkworks and I decided that tomorrow after his exam we're going to face talk to the big man in charge and get him to smell the room. It doesn't seem that some of the Raws are taking us very seriously. The exception is the ones that actually smell it. Once people smell it, they can tell that something ain't right. So tomorrow, if getting the dude with key rights into the room and smelling it doesn't work, then Skunkworks and I really have no choice other than call the non-emergency police line. I would like to say that this has been a very interesting Friday for me and Skunkworks. In fact, he's been in his room with 2 cans of Monster diligently answering all of your questions, at least all the questions that aren't creepily asking for pictures, with a brand new account. You know who you are. There will be more updates tomorrow morning when we have the man with the keys come and experience firsthand what we're going through. Good night everybody. 9:44 p.m. PST. I thought the last update would be all for the rest of the night until the smell evolved. I went to get some water from the living room, and when I walked past the room there was a distinct sourness to what was already a god-awful smell. Skunkworks can confirm that the smell is undergoing some sort of mutation. This night will be a bad one. 12:20 p.m. PST. So we decided that we should at least talk to the roommate to which the smell belongs with a more forceful attitude before bringing out the big guns. We knocked on the door and told him straight up that we wanted to go in and give him one more chance for redemption before we potentially made it a bigger deal than it needed to be. During the conversation we got clarification that he definitely can't smell it, and since many of you suggested that he can't smell at all, I asked if he has had a history of not smelling things that other people clearly smell. He said no, so I suggested that maybe a bird or rodent had died in his air vent and asked him if he would let me in to get on a chair and take the vent off. Now I didn't really suspect that there was anything in there, but this would provide Skunkworks and I with an opportunity to get a better look at what was going on inside. While I was in there, the smell was very intense, and I knew it wasn't from the vent because my head was up there and nothing but clean air was coming out. But to prolong our stay in the room, I took the vent off and used my phone flashlight to look around. There was nothing. After putting the vent back on, I asked him if there was any way he dropped any kind of food item under his bed or behind his desk, and he said he's sure that he didn't, but we'll check since we're making a big deal out of it. I thought that was the end of the conversation, so I got ready to call the head of the dorm when he came into the hall and said that he believes that he found the source of the smell and was going to sanitize whatever it was. He didn't specify because we think he might be embarrassed. Now it's a matter of waiting and seeing if the smell goes away. I'll update again to confirm whether or not the sanitation worked. 1:44 p.m. PST. Skunkworks and I decided that it would be cool to make a Discord so we can talk to you guys, so here you go, link PM PST. Alright guys, this is looking like the grand finale. Skunkworks and I discovered the source of the smell. So after we did some talking with people on the Discord, we went to the roommate and had a fairly long conversation with him about how he needed to eradicate the smell, not just try to cover it up by cleaning. We told him that we didn't care what it was, we just needed him to tell us what the fudge was going on. He told us that while he was looking for the source of the smell, he put his nose inside of one of his snow boots and found that it had a slight odor. Skunkworks said he would take one for the team and sniff the boots in order to determine if it was the same smell, but when the boots were brought into the hallway, it was immediately obvious that they were the source. No up-close sniff required. The smell was just like we described in previous comments and responses. But like 100x worse. It was eye-watering and it made me want to gag. He said that he was planning on cleaning the shoes, but Skunkworks and I really didn't want the source of the smell to continue to live. We sat him down and after some conversation convinced him to just straight up throw them away. He took them outside and Skunkworks and I assumed that he threw them in the dumpster. We waited a few hours to see if the smell went away, and I'm happy to report that it is about 90% gone. There is still some remaining whiffs and the area around his door is still a little putrid, but the dorm as a whole smells way better. This has been a wild ride, and I want to thank everybody who tried to help us determine the source of the smell. I know a bunch of you guessed feet or shoes, so congrats. If there was a prize you would have won it. To all you sick people that guessed things I want right here, I'm glad you were all wrong. I think this is officially over. Good night. 10:31 p.m. PST. So I wasn't going to update this anymore until by popular demand on the Discord, Skunkworks and I made a video about our experience. Enjoy link.